Sound Vault.
Welcome, my lovely children everywhere. Whether you are from planet Earth, the sky beyond, or through a portal of mystical time, this wonderful story of fantasy, unknown beings, and enchantment will hopefully thrill and entertain you. So this is Hetty from Tale Waves, who, with the greatest of pleasure, would like to hand you over to a young lady of just 12 years of age called Daisy Serkel. A clever, charming and lovable girl who has a tale which will remain in your thoughts and dreams forever. The floor is yours, Daisy dear. Thank you, Hetty, so much. When I was a child, only 9 years of age, my mother told me of a fantasy forest deep within the Sprinklebourne Valley. Such wonders had happened there, and I decided that during my summer school holiday, I would take a trip there to see the 2 tallest trees in the world with my auntie and uncle. We camped by the river, and I set off to find the trees. It was daylight and safe, and shortly the 2 trees stood before me. I waited, but all became still until a beautiful pink glow shone out of the ground. I was spellbound, for there lay a golden casket at the foot of one of the trees. I opened it. I beheld an ancient scroll inside. As I touched it, it started to unfold. I fell into a deep sleep, and the words upon it danced across my weary eyes, telling this tale of wonder. Squiffles are tremazing. Squiffles are unbelievably, extraordinarily, unusually unique, especially those who live in Sprinklebourne Valley, where the branches of the 2 tallest trees in the world twist, bend, and point downwards to the earth ground, outwards to the airwaves, and upwards to the sky beams. Squoofles, squaffles, squiffles, and the 2-legged talkers would come from far and wide to have the privilege of bending over backwards just to catch a glimpse of these fantastical swingers and jumpers. But that wasn't easy, for most of their super action was performed inside a magical, glistening huge bubble, which made them appear invisible, and they could only be seen when leaping from tree to tree, and their running speed was whizzically gonical, more gone than here. What a strange creature a squiffle was. Each one had a different quiff fluff style, coiffured by Nigel, who occupied the 9th floor branch. He had a quiff which looked like a coiled spring, perched on the top of his head, and as he leapt from tree to tree, the spring quiff would wrap itself around the branches. This way he could quite safely visit all of his customers. Today he was off to visit 5th floor Fazzorelli, the Italian opera singer, who was to make his dazzling debut up at Penthouse Penelope's platform plaza at the top of the trees. Nigel could hear him practicing his scales, sometimes singing a little off-key and shouting a naughty Italian word here and there. As he approached Fazio's, The branches swept aside in great theatrical splendour. "Nigel, darling, you are come. I have been awaiting with much excitement." Therefore, before Nigel stood an extremely handsome, overweight, overdressed squiffle that ever existed. His eyes danced in the light, and every time he sang another scale, a button would ping off his shirt, and his trousers would slide up and down. "Fazzo! Fazzarelli! Nigel, how many times must I tell you?" He kissed Nigel affectionately on both cheeks and sat down on his silken draped branch. "I am all yours, just to make me even more handsome." Nigel looked at this conceited squiffle. He smiled and took out his creams, potions, and lotions, and lathered them tenderly through the ebony-coloured locks of Fazzo's head. "Fazzarelli, maestro, what are you singing for us this evening?" "Some Puccini, some Verdi, and a little Mozart," cried Fazzo, gesticulating by throwing his arms wide. "Che gelida manina, se la lasci risparmiare." "Oh, my God! What was that?" A great bugle call rang out just above their heads. It was Sixth Floor Cyril, the retired squiffle officer. "Oh, not another new instrument. I can't take much more. It's like living on a military camp," cried Nigel. And as he looked upwards, he poured some unmarked lotion over Fazzo's head. "What have you done, my beautiful affair? My handsome quiff ruined." Fazzo's quiff turned into a candy-striped mess of white and yellow, with splashes of black here and there. The branches of the trees spun into a flurry of frenzy as the treep-treep of hundreds of squiffles rang out across the valley. They were running upwards, downwards, sideways, at such a speed that it was hard to make out who was who. By this time, Nigel had made a quick exit, sliding down 2 Z-shaped branches to the first floor. Luckily, that by doing this, he managed to avoid Sixth Floor Cyril, who had fallen off his branch and landed in the agitated lap of Fazzarelli. Well, the argument became so loud that Nigel covered his ears, thinking what a close escape he'd had. As he approached the first floor, he could see Fawcett, the police officer, and 2 young squiffles. He didn't seem too pleased at all. "What seems to be the trouble, P.C. Fawcett?" asked Nigel. "They've been a-thieving again, Nigel. Open your claws, both of you," said Fawcett. The 2 squiffles giggled and treat. "It was the magpie stole 'em. We just found 'em in a hole in the tree trunk," said the young squiffle, opening his hand to reveal several shining rings of gold. "It can't be us, because we're not allowed to leave the tree, whereas that devious magpie can fly anywhere. Then when he stashes it away, we get the blame for finding it. And we've come to claim our reward," said the second squiffle, cockily handing the stash to Fawcett. "Why, you cheeky little blighters! Did you hear that, Nigel?" cried Fawcett. I did, PC Fawcett, but I think you should just give them a warning not to do it again. After all, you wouldn't have found the jewels if it hadn't been for these two young squiffs." "Be off with you then," said Fawcett. "I don't want to see you here again, because you know what the punishment is. Banishment from these trees and the bubble. You wouldn't survive out there with the two-legged talkers. They hunters." The two young squiffles shrieked in horror and vanished within the blink of an eye. PC Fawcett sat down wearily in his tooth-gnawed seat set deep into the tree bark. He yawned. "Oh, Nigel, I sometimes wish I was a hairdresser. People like you, they dislike me immensely, and I'm so bored. No one misbehaves these days," moaned Fawcett. "You could always retire," smiled Nigel. "And some squiffles don't always like hairdressers, like Fazzarelli." He pointed upwards. "I've rather messed up his quiff for tonight's performance. He looks more like a skunk than a squiffle with black and white stripes as designer chic." Fawcett started laughing so loudly that a chorus of "treep, treep" laughter set the leaves on the branches a-trembling. "I can't wait for the performance tonight. What a scream!" Nigel decided that tree dwellers seemed to be going a bit mad, so he made a polite but quick lightning exit upwards to the 8th floor Ava, who had requested a beautiful blonde bouffon quiff to make her entrance the highlight of the performance. She was a Russian squiffle, a former great actress, and she had no idea how she came to live there. "It just happened, darlings," she would always say with a grand gesture. Her brunch was pink. Everything was pink. Even her claws were pink. "Come along, darling Nigel. Would you care for some ivy leaf potion?" "I'd better not, gorgeous. I fell off your branch last time, and I slept for 3 days," said Nigel. "Oh, yes, I remember." "Oh," laughed Ava. She sat upon a pink cover of soft silk spider's web, and Nigel loosened her long quiff. He combed it tenderly with a triple twig. Then he poured a green lotion all over it, and within seconds it had turned into the most beautiful golden blonde colour that glistened as the sinking sun rays flashed through the leaves. Nigel took out a mirror of frozen water and placed it in front of Ava's face. "Oh, darling, it's lovely. I adore you. How can I ever thank you? And come, look at my divine dress of holly and ivy and my red berry necklace." I think Nigel was a little in love with Ava, and he kissed her upon her fur cheek, and like a true gentle squiffle, stroked her tail and asked if he could escort her to the performance. "Oh, darling Nigel, I am already spoken for. 3rd floor Theodore, the Count of Bavaria, has requested my company, and he's very rich, handsome, and well-connected, you know." "Ah," Ava sighed, stroking his arm. Just then, From below, a very loud blasting sound resounded upwards. It was Cyril again, but this time it was a huge brass trombone. That Squiffle should join the army again and take all of his instruments with him. Then we'll have some peace here again. He'll be hoisting the flag in a few minutes. You watch, said Nigel. Sure enough, up went the bright red and white flag, with several young Squiffles swinging around the rope in all directions. Where did he come from, Nigel? After all, we only like the best of Squiffles living here. Ones with a good pedigree, moaned Ava. He came out of the sky beams and fell onto the 6th floor, and he's been there ever since. He was attached to a sort of thing that the two-legged talkers use. I've been told you can fly with it, said Nigel, quite intellectually. He started to twist Ava's fur into curls, pinning them with twigs and weaving fairy flowers between them. Well, I wish he'd fly back to where he came from. Ava stood up and danced a little twirl and curtsied. Oh, beautiful. Now, I must be going. I have one final appointment to keep with 2nd floor Selwick, the professor. They don't call him Selwick for no reason. I have to wash his wig, electrify it, and quiff it into multicoloured spring. It sounds mad, but it's a great idea. Goodbye, darling. See you later, bellissima. Arthur was too busy admiring herself to notice the exit of Nigel, so he tucked his implements into his bag, slung it over his shoulder, and with a joyous twinkle in his eye, decided what fun it would be to swing, twist, jump, and run his way to Selwick's floor. And just to keep even fitter, he would take the long route around the trees, covering every single branch and twig. As he swung his way upwards, he noticed the 2 young Squiffles whom Fawcett had scolded, sitting on a branch. He stopped, hid, and listened. What a strange-looking 2-legged talkers they are. How they stare at our trees. Do they not know of such things? What are those things at the end of their long bodies? Do they help them to walk? I believe so, but see how they gather looking upwards at Penthouse Peneliti's Plaza platform, as if the whole of existence was about to spring forth from there. They have no awareness of time travel or time thought. They just are. Trip, trip, how terribly boring. As Nigel prepared to finally take his last run to Selwick's, he heard the Squiffles gnawing on unicorns. They were not allowed to throw them through the bubble, or their wonderful fantasy world would vanish into nothingness, never to be seen again. When Nigel reached Selwick's floor, he found him in a dither. Oh, my, Nigel. I have given it great thought, and I want you to shave my head and paint multicoloured strips on it instead. It's cheaper anyway. Must save expense, must save time, must cancel too much thought. In fact, don't bother at all. I can't bear that ranting, unmelodic caterwauling. Must sleep, must snore, must dream. Goodbye. Selwick lay on his branch and did exactly that. I give up. cried Nigel. He picked up a few pieces of ivy, wrapped them in a twine, and ran slowly upwards to Penelope's penthouse, where he presented her with them. What a spirit of light she was, this goddess of the trees, perfect in every way. The wind blew through her raven hair, fur. She needed no quiff, for nature made her exactly as it intended. They sat watching the sun go down, claw in claw. Within seconds, hundreds of squiffles appeared in all shapes and sizes, under the moonlight, waiting, watching, as the great Fazzarelli appeared like an Italian mint humbug, and as he hit his top C, his hair stood up on end. The two-legged talkers ran into the night, and the bubble, the trees, and the squiffles faded into the distant song of the imagination. Yes, and so it was that I was woken by my aunt and uncle. They asked me if I was all right, and all I could say was, "Tremazing!" I turned to touch the trees, but they were gone. I will never forget those incredible creations, creatures, whatever they were. I felt happy there. They touched my heart. I only hope I will see them again. Oh, how wonderful, Daisy. I wish I'd been with you. Oh, look, here are your aunt and uncle to take you home. So thank you, Daisy. I won't forget them either, the Squiffles. Goodbye, Hetty, and it's been great. Thank you so much. Well, my dear children, what did you make of that story? Phantasmagorical? In 2 weeks' time, we bring you the story of charming, forgetful, crazy Foo Fow called Foo Fow's Funky Factory. So until then, be happy, have fun, but most of all, be good.
Sound Vault.
We at Sound Vault would like to thank the wonderful staff of Farnham Library for allowing the use of the Culver Room in creating this story.